Okay, August 20th, it is 10 something, 9:34 a.m. The random word for today is field, right there. Oh, right there. And I'm going to talk about a story. About 10 years ago, I was going to school for finance. My background was in financial analysis and doing deep dive market research in niches. And at the time, I was a general manager at my parents' restaurant and a full-time student at the same time in the business program at BYU. So I'd spend my mornings or my days at BYU, and in the evenings, I would spend my time at my parents' restaurant, the Trolley, as the general manager. And originally, I fell in love and was attracted to finance and deep dive market research because I was able to spot patterns in data and then extrapolate those patterns and stack them on top of one another and come up with novel ideas on how to implement said stack. But another thing that was going on was how fun it was to be sitting in these classes that were talking about case studies and theories and you could say abstract concepts that are applied in the real business world. And I would be sitting around fellow students and they'd be taking notes to get an A on, the test at the end of the semester. And I was taking in this information and going, oh my gosh, I can apply this right now at my parents' restaurant. So I would, in the afternoon, in the morning, I would take notes, and then in the evening, I would go to the restaurant and just immediately apply it and experiment and see which marketing tactics work, which lean principles or operations further streamlined and optimized things, in the back house, in the kitchen. And I started seeing these parabolic transformations happening with their restaurant. We were breaking sales records. We were having our best months. We got rated on Google and Yelp and TripAdvisor as one of the best restaurants in Utah. And it was really exciting for me to be oh my gosh, I'm learning. And then I'm able to apply it immediately and then see those results. And so how does this relate to the word field? It brings me back to, it was after that and a couple of other really important pivotal conversations I had, specifically one with a mentor that decided for me that I should stop all of my schooling. At the time I was doing an online specific schooling. It was a very niche specialized program for Harvard and going into the finance route or going into the MBA route. And this mentor basically told me look, both your parents are entrepreneurs. Give yourself a shot at entrepreneurship and see where it takes you. And it was from that conversation and then a couple of other interactions and encounters with really important people at that specific time. And also being malleable and receptive to inspiration. And I would say revelation from on high, that I decided to switch fields completely and not go in finance, not even go into operations, but to take my knack for being able to do deep dive market research, extrapolate trends, stack those trends on top of one another, ideate, and then come up with not a novel idea, but a novel product that's data-driven. And then I could further validate it with a niche crowd, which is kind of what I've been doing for the last 7 to 8 years. And then, launch it. And so I look back on it and I go, man, had there not been a couple of very important interactions that I had and been receptive to that counsel, that wise counsel that came from those mentors, I would have still been in the field of finance, likely investment banking or climbing the corporate ladder at a Fortune 500 company. And instead, I went into the field of, exaptive innovation, inventing, experimenting, and product development. And so I see that oftentimes we might think that we have an endpoint, a destination, and we think that's the promised land. And as we pursue that promised land, We might run into people, individuals, mentors. We might come across or have a transformative experience that might be a side quest. But actually what it does is it reveals to us not the main quest, but that we had actually gotten somewhat of it right, but we hadn't got it completely right. And that by being receptive, focusing on what is excitingly audacious for you, and then, taking those ad hoc encounters with what I would call enlightened individuals, it can point you off the wrong field and into or onto the right field. And that is my random word generator for today, the word field.